Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to LaughingPlace.com's Omega Mondays. I'm Rebekah Mosley, the co-founder, and with me is Mike Celestino, our editorial director for Star Wars content. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's been a exciting week in the world of Disney theme parks because Avengers Campus is opening this past weekend. But we're going to talk about that more later on our Disney Parks Talk Live program here on the YouTube channel. But right now, it's Omega Mondays, and that means that we get to talk about the latest Bad Batch. I really enjoyed it. I think you did based on your review, but I haven't, kind of got you to sum it up. How did the recent Decommissioned episode grab you?
I have mixed feelings about this episode. I was with it. I liked it. I had a knee-jerk reaction when they brought back these characters from the Clone Wars season 7 that I did not care for the first time around. I was surprised to see them again. I liked them. I disliked them slightly less this time, although I do think the voice actor playing the character of Rafa in particular is just she's just like my natural frequency of irritation or something.
Oh, how funny. Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know what it is. I can't tell you what it is exactly. I'm fine with Trace. I'm okay with her. I think the voice actor's fine. I think the person playing Rafa is either a really bad actor or just for whatever reason, it doesn't sit well with me.
Doesn't connect with you? Oh,
so
that's
every time she talks, literally every time she talks, I am pulled immediately out of the show. And it was tough for me to actually get through writing my recap because I find her so irritating. I don't know what it is.
Oh, that's
I
hysterical.
apologize if she's watching. I'm sorry. Otherwise, the episode was fine. It was another mission, but there was some interesting stuff in it. We should probably get into the actual plot of it, right?
Sure. But before we do, I'll have a confession. I pretty much read the recap of this particular arc within Clone Wars. I've tried to watch it a couple of times too, and for whatever reason, I can't keep with it. So I've had it on, but then, like I say, I mostly know the story arc of this duo that Ahsoka crosses paths with through reading the recaps more so than the episode itself. But let's jump into this week's episode. So it's funny that we both kind of have a bit of a gap when it comes to these characters.
I think the bottom line for me is that it pulls me out of it. It doesn't feel very Star Wars to me for some reason.
Okay.
There's something about that character, Rafa, in particular, that just doesn't feel like Star Wars. I don't know. It just pulls me out of the show. And then I also like the last name Martez. It just doesn't feel like a Star Wars last name. I just find that very odd. This is a very odd choice.
I can't think of anything about it that why I don't latch onto it either. But similarly, it's kind of a moment. However, I will say that there were some nods to that original episode that did catch my eye, which I was surprised that I had held that much of the episode, considering I don't feel like it connected with me. But let's see, what's the general story here, Mike? We start off with
the Bad Batch are on Ord Mantell, the planet, at the beginning. They're hanging out in that bar from the last episode where Rhea Perlman's character Sid is the proprietor, and they're training Omega how to use that crossbow thing first. That's kind of the first thing that happens, and then Sid kind of enlists them to go on another mission for her. This time she wants them to go to the planet Corellia, where Han Solo is from, to get the remnants of a tactical droid from the Separatist army, because she says that droid has in its data banks information about how to defeat the clones, which has become very valuable because the Empire currently is using the clone army still left over from the last days of the Republic. Is that accurate?
Yeah, no, that's what my recollection was as well. But I think the moments with Sid and the crossbow. Is it, what would you call it? A laser crossbow? What would you call this thing?
I saw what it was actually called. Now I don't remember. It's
Oh, okay.
like an energy bow or something. I don't
That
know.
makes sense. Energy bow makes sense.
I called it a laser crossbow, I think, in my recap. But
that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. I'm not sure that it makes sense, but it's okay. None of it does really when you think about it. So,
so they head off to Corellia to look for this tactical droid. You've got the crew at this facility that reminds me very much of the location that we found in Attack of the Clones, that sequence where they're melting down all the droids, where Amidala almost melts away, that kind of thing. It reminded me very much of that same type of factory.
Right, but this time instead of building the droids for the droid army, they're destroying them because the war is over. The Trade Federation lost, I guess, because they killed Count Dooku and General Grievous and stuff. But I mean, Emperor Palpatine was really controlling both sides of that war anyway. So, but I guess they decided they don't need any of those droids anymore. So they're like melting them down for their raw materials.
Mm-hmm. Zach is saying the twins help the Bad Batch. Yep, they do. They jump in. So, as the Bad Batch are at this factory trying to grab this tactical droid, they run across another group who is also trying to grab this droid, and that would be the aforementioned sisters.
Yeah, the Martez sisters, Trace and Rafa from the Clone Wars Season 7. They're also after the droid. We don't know who they're working for yet, although they hint at it at the end of the episode. I'm sure we'll find out in following episodes. Zach brings up a good point here. Kind of the, go ahead. Kind of the B story of this is Wrecker hits his head. He's getting more of these headaches. He starts to go into that Order 66 mode, repeating the line, good soldiers follow orders, over and over again. So they're just kind of steadily building toward him, that switch kind of flipping for him, which I'm sure will happen.
Was it just me, or was it felt like it was Crosshair? Like the actual voice that he was hearing was Crosshair, but I'm not sure.
What he was hearing in his head? Yeah. That hadn't occurred to me, but I think you're probably right.
So that was, and then the other bit that they kind of tag on to about Wrecker is he overcomes his fear of heights. Well, not overcomes, but he has to combat his fear of heights, both in climbing this ladder, and then at a point he has to jump across a ravine. So, Wrecker's got it going on in all kinds of levels, right? He's got this chip in his head that's causing pain and a personal conflict, and then he also is trying to battle his fear of heights in order to be helpful to the team. When it comes to the sisters, you get the impression that they've matured a bit with some of the decisions that you see them make in this. They were a bit naive when Ahsoka met them in the original, I think, is how I would describe them. They don't seem as naive now. Trace doesn't seem kind of as out for herself as she did, as we see her help when Omega ends up in trouble on the conveyor belt. So there, a little bit of personal growth there. Zach wonders if the twins are working for Maul or the Rebels. Mike Mack wonders if they're working for Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of theories about who that character is in the hologram at the end. The one that I think I believe the most is Bail Organa. I think that's, if I had to put money on it, I think it's going to turn out to be Bail Organa. Probably voiced by Jimmy Smits again, if I had to guess. But
yeah, I was going to say I'm leaning towards the rebellion versus the Empire or remnants of the Empire.
Yeah, because she has that whole thing about how everybody chooses sides.
Mm-hmm.
And she's reporting that these clones are out there. So who's going to be interested in clones is probably somebody fighting against the Empire.
Well, and StarWars.com pointed out that the droid that we see with them is they do refer to it as R7, but the colors on the droid, and I'm an astromech fan, so the colors on the droid are a little bit different than Ahsoka's at one point, but overall it's very similar to Ahsoka's, and StarWars.com in their database shows it as R7, A7, so I suspect that shows that they've kind of, moved over to that side, but
yeah, some people are pointing out that the colors on the droid actually change through the episode, which is weird. It must be like a production error, but
I don't know. So that was a fascinating deep dive. The other deep dive I ended up on after this episode was in regards to the Weequay and the Ithorian. And let me see if I can pull up. I did a quick screen grab so I could show you guys kind of what I noticed when I was watching, because in the episode there's these guys who are kind of is that popping up on screen? My screen is messing up with me. Let's see, right here.
I'm not seeing it.
There it is.
Okay.
There was this Ithorian and this Weequay who were kind of giving Omega a bit of what they were heckling while she was learning her crossbow. Well, I thought they were familiar, so I went back and checked out the Arc of the Sisters, and there was a scene in that where there was an Ithorian and a Weequay in the Pike prison, and Trace ends up letting them. No, is it? I think it's Trace ends up letting them go, and they end up helping them escape from the Pike prison. So yeah, so I'm wondering if it's the same duo or not.
They sure look the same,
don't they? Yeah, they look really similar. So I was like, oh, that's a fun. And I guess their names are Bolo and Ketch based upon the credits of this episode. But when I looked at the credits of the previous series, I could not find their names listed there. So I don't know for sure. The other kind of fun moment, I don't know. Did Mike like this Echo joke? This kind of who's on first style. Some people refer to it as Muppets style humor with the Echo joke.
I will say it got both an eye roll and a chuckle out of me. So I think it's fine. There's been that kind of humor in Star Wars before, so I'm okay with it. I saw I think Alex and Star Wars Explained called it perfection, which I was like, that's overstating it a little for me. But yeah, it was a funny joke. I'll give it to them.
Mac enjoyed it. Before we move on, as to the person there, I kind of hope it's Ahsoka, to be honest. That's me.
I thought it was Ahsoka at the end, but then somebody pointed out that they said it was a male. I don't know.
Yeah.
If that is true.
No, it could be. I did not. I did not pay attention well enough, and I didn't rewatch to know. But just in the moment when I saw the hologram, I was hoping, because I would kind of like enjoy the idea of a live action done by Rosario Dawson, and then the animated continued by Ashley. That's just to me fun as a fan, and then as knowing kind of the depth of commitment that Ashley has to the fan base. So, a bit of that as well.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Ahsoka shows up in this show eventually. I don't know if this is going to be Ahsoka, but she'll probably be in the show, whether it's in this season or another season or whatever. But
and Zach appreciated it too. So the humor worked for Zach. Oh, hey, how about this? Do you think we'll see Vader?
It's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. I'm not sure.
Would it be Vader? I can never keep the timeline straight, Mike.
Yes, this is after Revenge of the Sith, so Vader is around.
Okay, thank you. I'm always having to do that. Where in the timeline is this? Because I never remember. Okay. As far as timelines go, this one, War of the Bounty Hunters. This is after Empire Strikes Back and
Yes.
Carbonite Han, right?
Yeah, that's why I brought my little Han and Carbonite out here.
Oh, there you go.
We finally got to issue number 1 of War of the Bounty Hunters after a bunch of prelude issues that came out, tie-in issues, and now we're in the story proper. And there's a big reveal in this issue. Did you know what this is, Rebekah?
I did not get a chance to read it, and I was knowing that I was going to get spoiled talking to you about it, but that's okay. It's the hazards of the job.
Well, it's been Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
no,
5 days.
It's
right?
On me. No,
I mean,
it's on
are
me.
we okay? We have to spoil it eventually because we got to talk about it, right?
100%. So if you don't want to, go away for a few minutes and come back. We're spoiling War of the Bounty Hunters issue 1.
Yeah. So if you don't know what happens, what happens at the end of this issue, turn it off now. So in the prelude, in the alpha issue of War of the Bounty Hunters, the Carbonite block got stolen from Boba Fett. We didn't know who took it. And it turns out in this issue it was Crimson Dawn. But more specifically, it was Kira, the character played by Daenerys Targaryen. What's her name?
Ooh. I will look while you keep talking.
Yeah. She was the character in Solo, a Star Wars story, Han's girlfriend from Corellia, who kind of disappeared with Darth Maul and Crimson Dawn at the end of that movie.
Emilia Clarke.
There you go. And that was kind of like a big dangling loose end at the end of Solo. Everybody was hoping that we'd get a sequel to Solo or some kind of TV series that would follow up on that. I thought maybe she would show up in the Lando series that they've announced, because that would make sense. She has connections with that character. But now we know she survives all the way through till between Empire and Jedi, and she's involved with this whole War of the Bounty Hunters thing. So, yeah, Zach says, why didn't she release Han? Since they used to have something a long time ago. She actually talks about that. The line she says, Han always wanted to save me. Now he'll get his chance. Because she's using Han frozen in carbonite to basically pit everybody else against each other. We don't really know what her overall plan is to use this. But it is interesting that it turned out to be her. She wants to get the attention of the entire galaxy, and she thought, for better for worse, Han Solo was the person to do that, because he has connections to, the rebels, the Empire, the bounty hunters, the smugglers. He's basically connected to all the different factions. So, it's a pretty interesting turn of events. Plus, Boba Fett goes back to Jabba's palace without Han and Carbonite, because it's been stolen from him. But he confronts Bib Fortuna. He intercepts this message they got from what turned out to be Kira and the Crimson Dawn Syndicate. He fights Forlam and Zuckuss, the bounty hunters. A lot going on in this. Watching this on mute is really bizarre. Did he turn it off so he wouldn't get spoiled?
Yes, okay. I will be sure to let him know when it is safe again.
Well, I already I showed the image, so
it's okay. I don't know that I would know.
But that's the big news coming out of War of the Bounty Hunters. So I wasn't expecting that. It caught me off guard. And I wonder if that means they're not planning on having Emilia Clarke return as Kira in a movie or a TV show. But theoretically, as long as she doesn't die, you could put her in the Lando show still, and then she could survive to be in this series.
Yeah, it is an interesting plot, though, in that we do ultimately know, or we figure, ultimately that's how it gets to.
Yes.
But no, here, let me ask it this way. Do we know that it gets to to Jabba from Boba.
Well, we know that the carbonite block gets to Jabba's palace. We know that Boba Fett gets to Jabba's palace. We don't know that it's Boba Fett that necessarily delivers it.
Okay, that's what I was trying to ask. That's been
in the
something
current canon.
we've built in.
Yeah.
We've built in, but not necessarily canonized. Okay.
Right.
Now that'll be fun. Can you imagine if they did it all these years? We thought he just took off, flew over to Jabba's palace, dropped it off, got his money.
Yep.
That would be an interesting turn.
This story's running all summer long, so we'll have a lot more to talk about with that.
Okay, I will put up this picture so Mike Mac knows that it's safe to unmute. We're now moving on to Star Wars: The High Republic, Out of the Shadows.
Yeah, so this is the young adult book in the Wave 2 of The High Republic by Justina Ireland. It's called Out of the Shadows, and it follows... this is Vernestra Rouault. This girl's name is Silvestri something. Silvestri... I don't remember her last name. Yarrow, there you go. And then this is Reith Silas, I think. One of the other Padawans. And they are enlisted to investigate a mystery involving the Nile and the hyperspace anomalies. And they get tangled up in... Well, one of the interesting things about this book to me is there's these competing families of hyperspace prospectors that they made their fortunes mapping out the hyperspace lanes. And they're very, very wealthy. There's one called the Santeca family. We met Laura Santeca in The Force Awakens, but these are like his ancestors. This is hundreds of years before that. And then there's the Graf family is like their competitors. And they get these Jedi and that girl in the middle, the pilot, they get tangled up in the competition between these families. One of them turns out to be working, I guess, in the shadows. And I don't know, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's a good book. It's a nice long book, a lot to read. And Justina Ireland's a good author. So this is just continuing the High Republic adventures between, before the events of the Skywalker saga, a couple centuries earlier.
Would you say there's any nuggets in it that further your knowledge of the Jedi Order at this time, or
yes.
Kind of shape that canon?
They're giving that out in very little tidbits in these books. They're not delving into it all at once. They're kind of letting it drip out as we go through it. There's also a couple characters that have not been in the High Republic before, but they are familiar from other parts of the Star Wars saga.
Okay.
And I was happy to see them show up, but this book doesn't come out for another month and a half, so I don't want to say anything more.
No, I understand. And as Zach wants to be reminded in the timeline, this is well before Clone Wars, correct?
That is correct. It's like 200 years before that, yeah.
Yeah. So, But
I'm enjoying the High Republic. I think I've talked about this before, but I'm not the biggest fan of the Jedi as characters. But despite that, I am still enjoying the story. I'm very curious to see where it's going. I actually am reading another book right now from the High Republic that I'll review on Wednesday for the site, and we'll talk about it here next week.
Very cool. Oh, so more books coming from Mike C. More book reviews. Let's see. Has Mike C. been adding to his Bounty Hunter Funko collection?
I don't really collect Funko. I have a couple behind me here that I got for free, but I don't buy the Funko stuff. I don't like that the characters are all weirdly distorted.
Oh, that's right. You're very
I like things to look
model.
I like things to look kind of the way they do in the movie, model. Except for Lego. As you can see, I got a bunch of Lego minifigures.
But you're working within the medium.
And I did buy this Bosk Vinylmation that's right here, which is also weirdly distorted, but I had to have it. It's Bosk.
Oh, of course. So right now IG-88 is part of this 7-piece connecting set of Bounty Hunter Funko. This one is the GameStop exclusive, and we wanted to make sure you know about that. I guess now is a good time to remind you to follow Mike C at Who's the Boss Pod. That's where you find a lot of updates about Star Wars and Lucasfilm. And then over here at Laughing Place, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram and other places. And we give you all kinds of news about the Disney company, whether it's Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Marvel, the Disney parks. You can find that here at Laughing Place. Also, if you're enjoying this stream, go ahead and give us a like. It helps other people find us. We greatly appreciate that. Last Friday, Columbia Sportswear unveiled their summer collection. They're calling it the Outer Rim Collection. It's so different. Have you had a chance? I want to make it larger, but I can't. But it's like a tropical print, and then hidden amongst these beautiful like palm fronds and whatnot are X-wings and the Millennium Falcon. Darth Vader. I think there's some TIE fighters as well. So, yeah, they just kind of, I don't know, it feels like Jurassic Park meets Star Wars.
Yeah, I kind of like it. It's kind of like
love it.
Subtle. It's, you could almost walk past somebody and they might not know that it's a Star Wars shirt until they look a little bit closer.
And I also just like the fact that the color scheme itself is more subdued, kind of, a lot of times. Star Wars prints like this tend to really focus on the bold reds and blues, and this one, deals more in kind of those earthy tones to me. So yeah. Not too long before we started this show, Mike C shared a little clip that is making its way around the internet right now, and it's in preparation for a variety series. Mike, I'll let you set this up.
Okay, yeah, I just saw this. Somebody shared it on Twitter, and I watched it. It's like a 5-second thing, and it made me scratch my head because I thought they were shooting or had already shot The Mandalorian season 3 already, and they were just like in post production on it. Because we know in December we're getting Star Wars: The Book of Boba Fett. That's the next live action TV show coming from Lucasfilm on Disney Plus. And then we thought they had said after that we're getting The Mandalorian season 3. Now there's this conversation between Ewan McGregor, who is going to be in the Obi-Wan series later on, and Pedro Pascal, the title character of The Mandalorian. And he asks him, have you guys shot season 3 of The Mandalorian? And he says no. And then he starts to explain, but he says, oh, I really shouldn't say.
And then there's this weird cut.
Yes.
And then there's this weird cut, and then they kind of giggle about secrets and whatnot. It's totally kind of left up to complete speculation and whatnot. I'm not even sure they're talking about the same thing. The way it's cut, I wonder if they're actually like moved on to some other topic, but we don't know it. So it's just it's a very fun way to kind of capture the fan base interest in this series that comes June 18th to the local PBS station there in LA, but also they air them online. And this interview, what it is it's actors interviewing other actors, and with COVID, they were doing it like via Zoom and whatnot. So it's there, talking to each other in separate locations, all that kind of thing. But the pairing is very cool. I love this notion of Ian McGregor and Pedro Pascal, and I can't wait for it. A lot of the other pairings are really interesting as well, not in the Star Wars universe, but Kaylee Cuoco and Elizabeth Olsen. That's another one that caught my eye. So, I'm excited for this, but the obvious talk of Mandalorian and possible secrets and unexpected timeline of filming definitely has the internet a little bit abuzz today, so we thought we would also let you all know about that as well. So yeah, those are the headlines this week. Not a whole lot going on. This was a little bit of a quieter week for us.
Yeah, I mean, we've got content coming out. Obviously, there's the Bad Batch every week and the comics and the books and stuff. But yeah, as far as like big news other than that, there wasn't much of anything.
Yeah, a few. There's been a little bit of talk of some upcoming Star Wars Lego sets. I'm sure we'll be talking more about all that kind of thing as that rolls around too. So yeah, yeah. I
I
kind
gotta
of like.
say, well, this
Go
is
ahead.
sort of tangentially Star Wars related, and I'll say why in a second. But I got to watch the first two episodes of Loki. I know you're not a big Marvel Studios person, but I watched these first two episodes and I was so into this show. Like it's really like right up my alley and exactly what I want from the MCU. But the reason it's Star Wars related is that the guy who's writing this show, Michael Waldron, is going to be writing Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie. So um, you should be if you're not in the MCU, maybe you don't have to watch it. But um, if you are interested in both Star Wars and Marvel, keep that in mind as you're watching it. That this is the kind of the team up that you're going to get as far as like the creative side of things with Kevin Feige as a producer and Michael Waldron as the writer. They're going to be making a Star Wars movie sometime down the line.
Um, and I also wanted to mention that there's been some Lucasfilm news this past week. I think there was like a D23 event you ended up signing up for, Mike.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too. Is they announced? I forget when that happened.
I'm trying to pull up the content right now.
It
So
was
I will
sometime in
let
the
you.
last week. They announced that they're doing this 40th anniversary screening of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I managed to get tickets. So I'm going to that on Thursday, just 3 days from today, here in
So
Burbank.
yeah, that'll be something we'll be able to talk about in the future.
Yes.
Do you know did tickets go very quickly on that, or might that still be something that's available to people in the
I think they went. I think they went right away. I was actually surprised that I got them because the website was not working right, but then I did get a confirmation, so it
so
seems
yeah,
like it went through.
this event is taking place across the country on June 10th at various AMC and I think it's AMC Theater. So you can visit Laughing Place and see if there's a location near you, and then see if tickets are still available. I know oftentimes the LA and Orlando area locations are apt to sell out more quickly than the other areas. So be sure to check if a Raiders of the Lost Ark screening is of interest to you as a D23 member.
And they did
Um,
Temple of Doom did the 35th anniversary screening a couple years ago, and they gave out these great pins. I have it in the other room. There was like a Club Obi-Wan pin that they gave out, so I'm hoping they do another pin.
I do really like this logo right here. No, I mean not the member part, but the upper part.
Right.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Um, Zach is asking if you think we'll see Sabine Wren in the third season of Mando when it starts to hit screens.
It could very well be. They keep hinting that it's going to all culminate in the retaking of the planet Mandalore, and
Mm-hmm.
Sabine would obviously be involved with that in some way.
Yep.
Also, I think it's probably likely that Sabine will show up in the Ahsoka series as well, which
Yeah,
is
I
what
was going to
he
say
was
he's
asking.
also asking expectations about the Ahsoka series. I don't have any yet because I'm really. I mean, okay, what do I want from the Ahsoka series? I think I would like to see more about her quest that I presume she's on regarding Ezra.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but
think
I
we
feel
have
like that's kind of a given.
and they've indicated that Grand Admiral Thrawn will likely be the main villain of that series, which is cool.
Do you have a who's the boss I should be talking about, Mike? I'm sorry, I forgot
Uh,
to grab that.
well, I didn't put it on the list because
Okay,
I didn't have time to do an episode last week
no,
because of Avengers Campus. So,
no worries.
but I am actually recording one in a few hours here for
Oh,
this week's
fantastic.
episode. So stay tuned for more. Who's the boss?
Cool. And over at the Twitter account today in Star Wars, they remind us that it is the birthday of one Dave Filoni. So I thought as we wrap up here, we would acknowledge his birthday.
Not only is it Dave Filoni's birthday, it's Universal Studios Florida.
Yep, Universal
And
Studios.
Jeremiah
Good, our own Jeremiah Good here at Laughing Place. So I'm sure we're going to have a little bit of fun with that during Disney Parks Talk Live as well, which is just in a couple of hours. So as Kidder reminds, later today we have Disney Parks Talk Live and the LP Movie Club. So stay tuned here to the Laughing Place YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified whenever we go live. But until next week, this has been Omega Mondays, where we bring you the Bad Batch recap and Star Wars headlines. Thanks for joining us. Bye.